We're here. It's time. It's LFA 110 Johnson versus Horiuchi. We're live for it. We're going to talk about every fight on this card. I'm really excited to break this down. Some notable names: Marcus Perez, former UFC fighter, brother of Kevin Natividad, Christian Natividad. Actually, Cristiano Frohlich, former Ryzen fighter. Exciting prospect, Chibwikem Oneyebechka. That's the most tricky name to say, period, in MMA at this point, I would say. Exciting prospect, though. He was on the Contender Series, and he did win, granted, coming off a layoff. And then in the main event, we have the interim flyweight belt on the line. This is a pretty good LFA card. We got no UFC this weekend, so you know it's time. We got to cover LFA. I like showing love to the regional leagues as much as I can. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you guys smash that like button if you haven't yet. And we're going to go through this full thing. Thank you all so much for being here. Goal on this video, we need at least 50 likes for these LFA predictions. Gotta show love to the regional MMA and gotta show love to MMA experts. We grind here. Thank you guys for being here. And let's start it off, man. We're gonna talk about the early fights of the night. Shout out to everybody who's watching live, though. I really appreciate it. I will be chatting it up with you guys at the end after the predictions, and we'll definitely do a Q&A at the end of this. But for the people not watching on live, I appreciate you being here too also, and I'll definitely have timestamps in the video. But let's talk about the first fight of the night. It's down at 125, and it's against guys that are so unknown that there's no pictures. They're both making their pro debuts. Both have fought as amateurs in the past. Now, on one side, you have a guy, in Arpan, there's really nothing about him. I have done my research as much as I could have. I couldn't even find his Instagram, but what I've gathered from just studying the record, he's an unknown 33-year-old fighter who was 1-3 as an amateur, and his last fight was in 2018. So I'm not expecting all that much out of him. I don't think he's going to be any bit high level, but on the other side there is footage and there is information, and I did study Oscar Herrera a bit. A rangy Thai style of striking, but definitely more grappling based. What he's going to look for? Probably putting his opponent against the cage. Does have decent takedowns and trips from there. And he does actually have some nice jiu-jitsu skills, and he likes to attack with the submissions. As an amateur, you look at some of the wins, lots of decisions here. Could he potentially get a finish? I believe he could, especially against a man 33. Doesn't seem like he's a serious full-time MMA fighter, but he is making his pro debut. 3 5-minute rounds. The amateur fights normally are 3-minute rounds. I think that's going to really favor Oscar Herrera. And even though there's not a ton on him, I can kind of tell what type of matchup this is. Should be somewhat of a setup fight for Herrera to win his professional debut. I am going to pick second round submission here, but at the end of the day, not really anything on Arpan besides numbers, and both guys have no picture. There's pictures of nobody there. So Chuck Norris is on the screen here. But yeah, we're going to ride Oscar Herrera, and we will check up if there are odds. Yeah, Arpan is a plus 215 dog to minus 275 favorite. Oscar Herrera, would that be a risk? I would say it definitely is. Touching that line in general would be a risk. Low-level MMA, very dangerous to bet. And also the simple fact that I can't find anything on Arpan. But still, I think Oscar Herrera, from what I've read, from what I'm seeing this as a setup fight for him to win. And I'm going to pick second round submission, but we almost have to go in there partially blind, only really knowing about Oscar Herrera, and then just a little bit of info on Arpan Gurang. So yeah, we're riding Oscar Herrera. He should win this fight, and I will predict he does so by a submission to win his professional debut. Let's keep on moving. This fight is on the main card, and it's one that I'm actually pretty excited for. Chibwikem Onyenagacha. Very difficult name, but Chib is dangerous. On the other side, it's Hanato Valente. Both guys are skilled. Note this, Valente moving up from 170 pounds. He's at a 3-inch height disadvantage and a 1-inch reach disadvantage as well. On the side of Hanato, though, there are things to like. He does have some decent kickboxing skills, kind of basic striking, but not bad. I mean, he's 7-4 as a pro. From what I've seen, sometimes a bit gun-shy, but does have a decent left hook. Granted, Sometimes I do feel like he throws it really out of range, which was going to be a problem here because his opponent does have that range advantage. Has 4 wins by submission and really solid takedown defense. So the grappling game is solid. Granted, on the other side, Chibwikem, loose striker, definitely with a bouncy style. He likes to keep those hands low sometimes at the outside. He'll put them up as he comes in range, and he likes to use his hands to create space and manage the distance. A lot of low kicks, so definitely a kicking heavy attack from Chibwikem. But the layoff could be something of concern. You look here, he beat Anthony Adams nearly 3 years ago by split decision on Dana White's Contender Series. Has not fought since that point. But before that, I mean, another 3 years. So he has not been active in years. Is an unbeaten fighter, though. On the other side, though, Mark Martin just recently defeated Renato Valente. Tricky grappling matchup, a guy with very good wrestling, and definitely canceled out the grappling skills of Valente, and striking-wise seemed to have the edge. Other fights, I mean, he fought in Bellator and got a win. I mean, he does have more recent competition experience. Still, the naturally bigger guy is Chibwikem. I do think the skill set should outweigh the time off. I think the first round, it might take him a bit to get going. I do think it's going the distance here. I think we're looking at 3 rounds. I'm picking Chibwikem to win this fight by a unanimous decision. I think his rangy striking should get him the victory, and I don't see him potentially being put on his back by Renato Valente. Hopefully Chibwikem gets more active after this point, because at 7-0, he's definitely a bright prospect, and from what I've seen, the skill set's actually there to be a decent fighter. But let's check out the odds for this matchup. We're using FightOdds.io, not Best Fight Odds at this point, as Best Fight Odds has decided to take out some of the most important betting lines. We had to switch it up, and we are now switching to FightOdds.io, at least temporarily, until they get their stuff straight over at Best Fight Odds. Chibwikem's a minus 200 favorite to Renato Valente at the plus 165 dog. Are some props available here? There is over 2.5 for plus 135, under 2.5, minus 165. But do I really think that it's a valuable bet to place it on a guy who's been long layoff and fighting a guy who's been active but is smaller? Should be a good to-go play. I do think he definitely is going to win the fight. As far as the prop bets, it would be dangerous. There's really the over-unders only. Do you want to really risk that? I don't think. I think Chibwikem does have the power. He does have a good amount of wins by knockout. Granted, his last win, decision. But a long time ago, 3 years ago, and layoffs definitely are going to have some ring rust that comes alongside of that. But I'll still ride with Chibwikem. Slight favorite at minus 205. He should win the fight. Should be a good to-go bet. And I do think he gets this win by a unanimous decision against Renato Valente Alves. And I am looking forward to this matchup. I think that Chibwikem's an exciting middleweight prospect, and hopefully he can keep being more active and stay in the game. Let's get up to the next fight of the night. It is Jacqueline Amorim versus Megan Owen. Women's MMA fight here. So women's MMA is insane to bet normally when we're talking about high level UFC. It's now lower level. It's LFA. It's girls with 3 fights or less. Megan Owens 1-0. Jacqueline Amorim is 3-0. Good record from what I have seen of both girls. Now, Megan can definitely mix it up in the stand-up game, and she likes to strike. I say she's pretty all right with her stand-up, and she is willing to mix it up. But with her grappling and her pro debut, she looked really good. Lots of heavy pressure against the cage, solid takedowns, top position, very good control, and she does shoot for a lot of submissions. Granted, she won that fight by a decision against a fighter who 0-1, Ashley Letourneau. Not all that experienced, and definitely this is a solid step up in competition, because Jacqueline is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner. She competes at the black belt level in no-gi. She does look to get fights to the ground. You look at all her wins are submission victories, and she dominates her opponents. Granted, this is the first fighter that she's fought with a winning record. She fought a 2-4 girl and won, but she's fighting debuting fighters or losing record fighters. Now she fights a 1-0 girl, and not that Megan is terrible. I mean, she has a decent skill set, has fought in the amateurs, but the jiu-jitsu should really be too much here. Definitely another fight, more of a setup fight here to get Jacqueline propelled up and build her career and move her to 4-0. She's a minus 500 favorite to Megan Owen at the plus 375 dog. Let's check out these props here. I think it's just going to be the over-under. Yeah, it's over 1.5. plus 130, under 1.5, minus 160. I will assume that it will be under 1.5 submission first round for Jacqueline Amorim to win this fight and be 4-0 now as a professional. She definitely looks pretty good with her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I like what I have seen. I think she's a fun prospect. Nice jiu-jitsu game goes a long way, especially at these lower levels where some of these girls don't have it. Granted, the wrestling game of Megan Owen is actually not bad. It's just going to be jiu-jitsu showcase here, though, by Jacqueline Amorim. I'm going first round victory via submission, and I am excited to get this fight started. Like, I'm excited to see all these LFA fights, and I'm really excited for this women's bout because I think she's an exciting jiu-jitsu prospect, and I'm going to pick her to win this fight, and I'm going first round submission. Let's keep on moving up. Not a ton of fights on this card. Unfortunately, we only have 6. We lost the original main event, but that's okay. We still have some good fights. Christian Natividad versus Luis Aguirre. On the side of Christian Natividad, brother of a UFC fighter in Kevin, who's fun to watch. I mean, Luis Aguirre is definitely a fun fighter from what I've seen footage-wise. He's going to be enjoyable. We'll talk about Aguirre first. Aggressive style of striking with lots of wide hooks. Tends to be a style. He's a Mexican fighter. They're known for durability and solid chins. I do think he will let the hands fly early, and I think he'll be willing to mix it up here with Christian Natividad. On the side of Natividad, though, we have to note, has a wrestling background, which I think is going to be a solid factor in this fight. Also known as a pretty aggressive fighter and a fast starter with solid boxing skills and definitely explosive knockout power in the hands. And he's got pretty quick hands, too. Like, his boxing skills, pretty solid. I feel like he's already beaten guys above the level of Luis Aguirre, even if they didn't have the notoriety, guys with good amateur backgrounds. He's 3-0. He can win fights. I think he wins this one anywhere it goes. Anywhere it goes. I'm going Christian Natividad. I think he should get the first round knockout victory here. I think he could potentially put the fight on the mat and get the TKO, but I wouldn't be surprised if he mixes it up standing up with Luis Aguirre and touches that chin and puts him out cold, puts him to sleep. But Luis Aguirre, from what I've seen, fun fighter and an enjoyable guy to watch, and I think he'll be willing to engage with Christian. But, man, the odds, minus 440 to plus 316 at best, minus 450 to plus 350. Like, betting-wise, this card, especially with some of these fights, it's going to be a risk. The over 1.5 is a plus 100. Is there a chance Aguirre lasts? Absolutely. But there's also a chance that he does not last that 1.5. He has not been truly finished. He did lose by a TKO corner stoppage. I believe he quit. He said it was an injury or whatnot. But Natividad is the by far highest level guy he has ever faced off against, and I do think that's a solid factor. So I'll ride Natividad knockout, but I'm not telling you guys go out and bet it now. It will be a risk to bet on these LFA fights in general, but especially some of these LFA matchups that are between guys at the lower levels with like 5 fights or less. That's definitely a risky bet, but I am going to ride Natividad for the victory, and I think that he's going to follow his brother's footsteps, and I will early predict that he'll eventually end up in the UFC because he definitely has the work ethic, definitely has the style, and honestly, he might be better than his brother. So I'm very excited for the young Kevin Natividad. Let's get up to the co-main event, and you are going to recognize one name if you follow any of the prelims, or even if you follow, some of the fights. It's good action. It's gonna be a fight. Cristiano Frohlich on one side, Marcus Perez on the other side. I think we're in store for a pretty good matchup. I think that you can't fully count out Frohlich here because if you look at his body of work, I mean, the man dropped Karl Albrechtsen, and I would say Albrechtsen's a pretty good fighter. Is he bottom level UFC caliber at the least? Yes, he's a fun guy to watch in Bellator. He only really lost, to Phil Davis, top line guy. He does have pretty fast hands with Cristiano Frohlich. He dropped Karl Albrechtsen in a fight that he was losing, but still did drop him. Decent kickboxer. Really fun to watch. All right, jiu-jitsu on the ground. Granted, was controlled by the grappling of Albrechtsen. On the other side, you have Marcus Maluca Perez. I've always liked when he dresses up as the Joker at weigh-ins. He leaves the UFC and he's now in LFA. I do think he's gonna find a way back to the UFC eventually. We are used to seeing his face there, and I've called plenty of his fights. Southpaw with some solid striking skills and definitely a kickboxing striking style with the occasional stance switch in there. I will say I like how he moves in and out of range. He does that pretty well. But on the ground, he's really tricky. Might not be the best offensive wrestler, which definitely gives Cristiano Frohlich a chance here. But I still believe he will find a way to probably get this fight to the mat. I don't think to take down Cristiano Frohlich, you have to be the best wrestler. I think the jiu-jitsu style of takedowns, working against the cage, trips, will let Marcus Perez jiu-jitsu shine. But I don't think this is an easy fight. I think that he's going to get a win here. I think that Marcus Perez gets a decision, but you can't sleep on Cristiano Frohlich here. He's definitely a live underdog. I don't know, maybe an underdog you want to sprinkle. Granted, plus 176 is not amazing value, but it is pretty good. Plus 150. Marcus Perez, the minus 180, or you can find him at minus 225. I like Perez minus 180. I think he should beat Cristiano Frohlich. Frohlich's chance to win here is going to be knockout, but Marcus Perez, not a guy that's been finished often. Driskas Duplessis knocked him out. But how good is Driskas' striking skills, right? That's a level, and I think he's above Cristiano Frohlich. So I'll ride Marcus Perez. I think he wins this fight by a decision. And let's see what props are available. Man, mostly just over-under. It seems like that's all it is for this card. The over is minus 140, under plus 110. I do think the over should cash here. I think we're looking at a fight that goes the distance. Frohlich's best chance is a knockout win. Granted, it's also been a layoff for him. Let me pull this screen back up. Frohlich has been off since 2 years ago, whereas Marcus Perez, he's fighting all the time. He's fought already twice in the past year. I think Marcus Perez, by a decision, he should get the win here, and he should beat Cristiano Frohlich to secure himself a potential shot back in the UFC, or at least maybe he even gets picked up by like Bellator or PFL, because I do think Marcus Perez is not bad. He's a pretty decent middleweight, and I think he'll find his way back. So I'll ride Marcus Maluca Perez to win the fight. And let's get to this main event of the evening. Man, it's an interesting fight because Charles Johnson is a professional striker. He does boxing. He does Muay Thai. So he's in multiple arts, right? He does multiple aspects of the fight game. I do think that is a valuable asset coming into a fight against a guy in Yuma who's a pretty good striker and is well-rounded overall, but having the height advantage, having the professional striking advantage, Charles Johnson definitely has an edge. And I mean, he is good in his sports. I mean, he's not the number one boxer ever. Actually, I don't know off the top of my head. I know his recent record hasn't been great. Let's see Charles Johnson box rec. Because I think there's a couple of Charles Johnsons, so we'll see if we can even find it here. Actually, I might be able to just do it off Tapology, but it might be an incomplete record. Charles Johnson, 5'9". Is this him? 1-5 as a pro? Yeah, this is him. He's 1-5 as a pro boxer. I know you're looking at that like, oh, that's a terrible record. 1-5-4 as a pro boxer. Oh, man, terrible, terrible record. But look at the way he's losing. Decision, 1 TKO loss, but 4 decision losses, 4 decision draws, and he has a win over Fungasai Tunabet by a TKO. In the Pablo Sanchez fight, he's 13-3 as a pro. I mean, it's not like he's fighting nobodies. He can fight, and he also has Muay Thai experience. He definitely can fight. As far as the odds for this fight, Charles Johnson is a minus 200 favorite, and Yuma Horiuchi plus 160 dog. Let me bring back the screen here, and let me also talk a little bit about Horiuchi. I don't want to just oversell Johnson to you without talking about his opponent. His opponent's a pretty fast starter. Horiuchi is an aggressive fighter, definitely comes out quick, does get a bit reckless at times, and I have seen him put on his back before. Pretty fast hands, though, and some decent kicking game. Also has some nasty submissions in the arsenal, coming off a win against Donovan Frello, but 6-4, right? Lost to Leandro Gomez, not bad. Split decision loss to Ludovic Chaneleon. In my opinion, that looks pretty good on your record because Chaneleon is on the Ultimate Fighter right now, and he won a fight against Mitch Raposo. I think that Charles Johnson is going to find a way here, and I know he's the favorite. So we're looking at a card where all favorites are predicted to win. Does this happen? Not always. One of them has a high chance of pulling out, the upset here. But I still think I have to ride Charles Johnson. I think the skill set will shine through here. I don't know about a finish. I think decision. I think a good striking match. Could Johnson potentially land a big punch and hurt Yuma Horiuchi? Sure. But I also think it's probably going the distance here. Now, the interesting thing is the bet. It's over 4.5 or under 4.5. such ugly bets. Can we at least get a more deep dived prop betting section for the LFA? I would like to at least see fight goes the distance or fight does not type bets, like win inside the distance, win not inside the distance. I don't really love the over-under play, especially on this one. As far as this whole card goes, like there's okay, I guess, bets to be made. Like if you told me I'm betting on this card and I have to give you bets to play, as far as I'm concerned, definitely should see victory for Christian Natividad, but the odds are terrible, right? Look how big of a favorite he is. Very large favorite. Very large favorite. And then you look at maybe you put Chibwikem and him in a parlay together if you're allowed to, depending on your bookie site. Maybe you do that. Marcus Perez minus 180. Is he another decent play? Charles Johnson. Are you going to parlay up everybody? Probably not. If you need a dog, and I had to tell you one dog that I truly believe, or I'll tell you two. The dogs that have the most value on this card are going to be the co-main and the main event fighters. Hanato Alves, if he was the same weight class of Chibwikem, I'd give him a shake here. But the size difference is going to be noticeable. Chibwikem should definitely win this fight. I think that he will definitely be potentially the lock of the night. I'll go Chibwikem, but the layoff does worry me. Natividad and Amorim are kind of, I think Oscar Herrera, Christian Natividad, and Jacqueline Amorim should be locks of the night, but you can't do locks of the night for fighters that are under 5-0. Like, you just can't take the risk. So if I had to give you stylistic matchup-wise, I would say Chibwikem, followed then by Charles Johnson, followed then by Marcus Perez. Those are my plays here. Like as far as what you could bet and what should cash. Am I recommending anybody bet on this card? No. But if you want to bet on this card, you definitely could. You could definitely cash. There is money to be made. And I do think there's exciting matchups. But as a fan, you will definitely enjoy this card because definitely solid action for LFA. I'm looking forward to it. I will give this card a rating. You guys know I like to rate the cards. It's only a 6-fight card. We do have some decent names. I will call this a C+ card. I will call it a C+ card. It's like a 78% card. Like it's not a 79 either. It's not fully on the B. I'll say 77 actually. Let's say C+ card, slight C+ card for LFA. I think they could bring some more heat, but I do think it's going to be entertainment value-wise very good. Betting value-wise, okay, not fantastic. The fights are coming up July 2nd, so that is Friday. Maybe some props will come out by then, and maybe there'll be some things that we want to play at that point. But as of right now, not loving anything besides straight bets. Not really loving the over-unders, even though they could potentially cash. Should be a pretty decent action, though. And at the end of the day, we love MMA, so prediction side one thing, betting side one thing. The fight should be a good one. But let me check up on that live chat. And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe here too. Whether you're watching live or in replay, I really appreciate all of you guys. But I will advise you, if I'm live, you should definitely tune in because those benefits to watching live, you get to talk it up with me in that live chat, and we get to have some good conversation. So let me check up on the live chat and see what's going on. Shout out to everybody in here. You say, bet carefully, save the bankroll for the UFC. Definitely makes sense. Conor or Dustin, we're early leaning Conor McGregor. Some other people lean in Conor McGregor. Topuria is your favorite pick? Yeah, I like Topuria a lot. Personally, you're not betting on the 264 main event, but you lean Poirier. Yeah, it makes sense not to bet that main event. It's a dangerous bet. If Dustin would have won the first one. Let's see. If Conor can stop the calf kick, he definitely could win the fight. You're leaning Topuria too. Great stream. Hey, I appreciate you. Shout out to you, man. Thank you, Taj. Shout out to everybody in the live chat. I appreciate all you guys. O'Malley's replacement. Yeah, O'Malley's getting a low-level replacement. We'll break that down. I'll have the UFC full card predictions. I'm going to drop a pre-recorded prediction video on Saturday, and then I am also going to do a live prediction video probably on Monday. So we'll have plenty of content this week. Make sure you guys tune in to all the shows. The lock of the night, yeah, we went through it. There's some fan passion out there for Hall as well. You think Topuria is a good play? Yeah, I think Topuria is a good play. Amorim by sub. Okay. You don't get these LFA cards here to watch or bet. Oh, man, you don't get to see these LFA cards? I think you should be able to find them on Fight Pass. Natividad again. The Natividad brothers are here. All fights once every 2 years. Yeah, he doesn't fight often. You thinking parlay Natividad and Amorim? Not bad. Perez is the poster child for when speedy shit goes bad. Where do you watch LFA? You can watch it on the UFC Fight Pass network. Fight Pass, yeah. It's not on ESPN Plus. I wish it was. 3-leg parlay to throw 50 on for fun. I mean, if you want to parlay up Johnson, Amorim, and Natividad, I mean, that definitely could potentially cash. Chris Colbert versus Tuggestart Rane Bar. Overall, I'm looking forward to this LFA card. I will be watching it. I don't know if I'll do a live fight companion for it. I got a wedding to go to this weekend, but if I do have the opportunity, I will. Do I know anything about Sean O'Malley's new opponent? I'm actually doing my research like right now for the finalized prediction video for UFC 264. So I'll have all the info out to you guys when that drops. I'm planning on dropping a pre-recorded video Saturday and then a live stream we'll do for the entire card on Monday. Should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it. I also have some other different type of content that I'll be dropping, just some fun content, some ideas that I have that I've been wanting to release. We'll talk about some other things in the MMA world that are less talked about, but I feel like I have the knowledge on that I have to tell you guys about. So should be a lot of fun. This week's a good one. No fights as far as the highest level of MMA goes. UFC, Bellator, One Championship, PFL. Actually, there might be a very small one card, but I don't like covering the One Championship cards when I can't find a way to watch them. You know, at the end of the day, I like them when they're on TNT in the States. I love doing fight companions for One Championship. I'm hoping that one decides to be at it more. O'Malley's opponent is 9-4, making his debut. I'm excited to see O'Malley's opponent. I'm excited. We're getting all the notes together, and then we'll be doing those finalized UFC 264 predictions. I'm pumped for it. I got so much content coming out next week. I think that this is going to be a really fun week. I'll try to drop a live stream and or video every day next week, maybe excluding Sunday. That might be July 4th will probably be the one day that I don't post anything, but you'll see me live streaming or dropping a video every day next week. There's a lot of things to talk about in the MMA world. The best bets video for the UFC 264 card is going to be fire as always, and I think we can cash nicely on it. Definitely looking forward to give you guys some of the tips on there. And then the live streams, there's a lot of stuff. Trust me, O'Malley's not going to mount. No, I'm right now going to tell you without knowing much about his opponent at this point, I still think that O'Malley's going to win. I mean, they're not. Why did they not get a UFC opponent like a Tim Elliott? Why would they risk Sean O'Malley? They want Sean O'Malley for victory. They want to keep building his name. Why wouldn't they? You don't need to know anything about him. No, you truly don't. I think Sean O'Malley's going to be a good to-go play. I think he wins. Under 1.5, I would assume so. I would assume it's quick. I don't think Ricky Simone could make the weight. I think Ricky Simone, too big right now. And I don't think they want to do Ricky Simone versus Sean O'Malley. Because you think about that fight, Ricky Simone is a serious fight for Sean O'Malley. That's a tricky matchup. That's a good wrestler, a very good wrestler. We can pull up best fight odds. Let me see something. Let me see what the O'Malley odds are sitting at. So if you were going to straight play O'Malley, let's see. Straight play on Sean O'Malley. Wow. Minus 800, minus 900. He's a massive favorite right now. Looks like a wish version of Sean O'Malley. Hey, hopefully he comes out with good striking. I'm hoping that we see a good striking battle between these two, and I believe we will. I think Sean O'Malley's going to put on a showcase. I think that I'm telling you, the UFC knows what they're doing for Sean O'Malley. They're big fans of Sean O'Malley too. He sells. He's on the Conor McGregor card for a reason, and they needed a fight that he's going to win. Yeah, I think Ricky Simone's wrestling would be a lot. O'Malley going to probably be like minus 700. Right now, he's so big of a favorite. Yeah. Oh, makes sense, though. Makes sense why he's such a big favorite. Can you imagine the guy beats him? Some crazy upset. Unknown comes out, beats Sean O'Malley. I don't think so, though. Still a fist fight, though, and anything can happen in a fist fight. We've seen crazy shit happen before. But I am looking forward to this LFA card. Really looking forward to UFC 264 next week. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, man. The props aren't out yet. How do I gamble on LFA? So if you're gambling on LFA, you're going to have to use betonline.ag. And I think, hold on real quick, I can give you another line, or Bookmaker. These are the only sites, at least that I'm seeing right now on fightodds.io. And let me check best fight odds. There might be one other line available. Let me check. For LFA, so it's Bookmaker, best fight odds, or was it Bookmaker, Bet Online, and REF. I've never used REF. And REF Sportsbook. Man, I got to be honest, best fight odds has disappointed the hell out of me. How is Young Sung Woo on a pay-per-view, though? No offense. I don't know. He's on the card. We'll see. We'll see what he brings to the table, man. I don't know if the prop is out yet. Just seen his new opponent this morning. Yeah. The prop by knockout, I'm assuming, minus 300. They're still going to have it at an outrageous price tag. So realistically speaking, betting Sean O'Malley value-wise is going to be trash, as it would be expected to, right? Like, when is a Sean O'Malley bet going to be all that good unless he's in like a matchup against Marlon Vera once again? It's not going to be all that valuable. Should be good, though. Should be good to see UFC 264. That's a sweet card, and I just can't wait. I would say Bet Online. Personal preference is Bet Online. I have used Bet Online a lot. I like Bet Online a lot because it has so many options. Like, there, as far as like betting goes, thing is, what are you using to bet, right? I'll use like cryptocurrencies to bet on Bet Online. As far as using money directly deposited into there, I've never done anything like that on there. That would be easier on some of the more U.S. domestic ones if you're in the States. I appreciate everybody for tuning in live and chatting it up with me too. These LFA predictions, I'm curious, how the views are going to be by the time this drops. I think they'll do fairly well because I think people do want to hear what are the picks for LFA. But I'm super looking forward to the UFC action. Like, I just doing the UFC predictions, doing the Bellator predictions, doing the PFL predictions. That shit gets me pumped. So looking forward to getting all that back soon. Next week, UFC. The next week, we'll have Bellator. Tons of action, tons of content. You guys know where to keep it locked in. It's here at MMA Experts. Smash that like button. I appreciate all you guys. If you're new to the channel, subscribe here too. Love chatting it up with you guys in the live chat. But this is pretty much it for me tonight. But I will be back at you guys with some content tomorrow and the next day as well. Probably drop those predictions, the UFC predictions, pre-recorded, like the video. I'm going to drop that on Saturday. So that should be a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to tune into that. Make sure you smash that like button. Keep it locked in here at MMA Experts. Got all kinds of content coming out. This is going to be a really big second half of the year for us, and we're taking over the game, guys. Lots of big things coming, so stay tuned. You have any EFC predictions? I've never done EFC predictions. I don't really watch EFC. Not saying I'm opposed to it. I just haven't. Would I be interested if I get if I can get enough people interested in my EFC predictions, I will do such. I've had a lot of people ask about LFA, which is hence the reason why I decided to do LFA. But it is hard to add in all the regional scene stuff, especially when there's high level MMA going on. But this week was the perfect one for it. And I like giving LFA the love, man. I really do. They're a good regional organization, and I do think they do a great job feeding to the UFC. But that's pretty much it for me, guys. I hope you guys all have a great night. Smash that like button if you haven't. Subscribe if you're new here. You guys are all fantastic, and I love you all. So thank you so much, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a great night, guys.